The intensive care corridor smelled like bleach and burnt coffee. The lights were too white, too honest, and they made every shadow under every eye look permanent. Grant Whitmore stood with his hands open at his sides, as if any sudden movement might break something. His running jacket was still damp along the collar where a little face had pressed into it. The fabric carried the faint salt of tears. Brianna clung to his sleeve with both hands. Her fingers were small and stubborn, and her pink pajamas looked thinner under the hospital air. Her feet were tucked under the chair as if she could hide them from the cold tile. A nurse pushed a cart past them. The wheels chirped, then faded. Somewhere behind a closed door, a monitor kept beeping with the same patient rhythm, steady and indifferent. Patricia Chin approached with a clipboard held tight against her chest. She moved like someone who had learned to be gentle without being slow. Her badge swung once, then settled. She crouched in front of Brianna first. Her voice softened, but it did not become sweet. "Your mom is stable," she said. "The doctors are taking care of her. She is awake. She is safe." Brianna nodded once, too fast, like she was trying to make the words true by force. Her eyes stayed fixed on the door to the unit. The door had a small window, and in that window she could see nothing but fluorescent glare. Patricia looked up at Grant. Her expression stayed kind, but her jaw was set. "Mr. Whitmore," she said, "I need to explain something clearly." Grant swallowed. His throat felt scraped raw, as if he had been running still. "Of course," he said. Patricia lowered her voice, not to hide it from Brianna, but to keep it from spilling into the corridor like a scene. "She is a minor," Patricia said. "Right now, there is no verified guardian in the system. If we cannot confirm a safe placement, we have to notify the on-call team. They will do what they are required to do." Grant felt the words land in his chest like a weight. Required to do. It sounded clean. It sounded polite. It sounded like a door closing. "What does that mean?" he asked. "It means she cannot stay here alone. It means we cannot release her to a stranger without documentation. It means if we cannot contact family, she may be placed temporarily until her mother is medically cleared," Patricia said. "That can happen quickly." Brianna turned her head toward them, slow, like she was trying to understand a language adults used when they did not want children to panic. "Placed where?" she whispered. Patricia did not flinch. She kept her eyes on Brianna. "Somewhere safe," she said. "Somewhere with a bed and meals. But it would not be with your mom tonight." The word "tonight" did it. Brianna made a sound that was not a cry yet, just breath caught behind teeth. Her grip on Grant's sleeve tightened until the seams pulled. Grant lifted a hand and rested it on top of her knuckles, steady pressure, warm skin on cold fear. "She will not go alone," he said. Patricia nodded once, but she did not relax. "I understand what you want," she said. "I also understand what you feel. But I need you to understand what I can and cannot do. You met her today. That matters." Grant glanced toward the ICU doors again. He could almost see the apartment in his mind, the bowl of cereal gone soft, the young woman on the couch with skin that felt too cold for a living body. He could feel the tremor in his own fingers when he had dialed the emergency number. He could hear the dispatcher asking questions in a calm voice that never once sounded like it believed the day could go wrong. He looked down at Brianna. Her cheeks were damp again, but she was holding the tears in, like tears were something you saved for when nobody was watching. "Your mom asked for you," Patricia said gently. "She is scared. She is also exhausted. She needs to rest." "I want to see her," Brianna said. Her voice broke on the last word. "We will," Patricia said. "Soon. But first we have to solve this part." Grant felt anger rise. Not at Patricia, not at the rules, but at the simple idea that a child could be one signature away from being moved like a file. He kept his face calm. He knew calm was a kind of power, too. "Tell me what you need," he said. Patricia studied him for a moment. She was measuring something she had measured many times before. Not his suit, not his watch, not his posture. Something behind his eyes, whether he would disappear the moment things stopped feeling heroic. "We need identification," Patricia said. "We need a home address. We need consent from the mother when she is alert enough. We need a background check request. We need you to understand that this is temporary and supervised. I cannot promise how quickly it will be approved." "Do it," Grant said. All of it. Patricia blinked once, then nodded. All right, she said. Come with me. Brianna did not move at first. She looked at the ICU doors as if moving meant losing them. Grant crouched beside her. He kept his voice low so it would not bounce off the hard walls. Brianna, he said, listen to me. Your mom is in there. She is waking up. The doctors are helping her. We are going to do the paperwork, and then we are going to see her. Brianna searched his face. Her eyes were the color of dark sugar. They held too much for a child. Are you going to leave? She asked. The question was small, but it carried the whole morning inside it. Frozen concrete, a door left ajar, a woman who would not wake up. Grant felt something crack, then settle into place like a decision. No, he said, not today. Patricia turned and started down the corridor. Her shoes made soft clicks, steady and sure. Grant offered Brianna his hand. She took it, and her palm was colder than it should have been. They walked after Patricia. The monitor beep continued behind them. The ICU doors stayed closed. Grant did not look back. He could feel the day he had planned dissolving, slipping away without a fight. In its place was a different kind of countdown, one that did not care who he was or what he had built. If he could not prove safety, she would be gone. Patricia led them into a smaller office that felt like it had been built as an apology. The lights were dimmer here, the air warmer, and a little machine in the corner hummed as it struggled to keep up with the hospital dryness. A box of tissues sat on the desk like a silent suggestion. Grant helped Brianna onto a chair. Her legs did not reach the floor. She tucked her feet back again, guarding them from the cold that always found a way. Patricia set the clipboard down and slid a single sheet toward Grant. The top of the page held a title in bold, followed by paragraphs that looked like they had been written to protect the hospital, not the child. This is the emergency placement request, Patricia said. It allows you to be listed as a temporary contact while we work on proper consent. It does not make you family. It only buys us time. Grant reached for the pen. His hand was steady, but his thoughts were not. He had signed contracts worth more money than he cared to admit, and none of them had felt heavier than this paper. Brianna watched the pen tip move across the lines as if his name could decide her future. Patricia pulled a second form from the clipboard. We also need a copy of your identification, she said, and an address where she would be staying tonight if the doctor approves the mother for a brief consent conversation. Grant nodded and took out his wallet. The leather felt absurd in his hand, too clean for a room that smelled like antiseptic and fear. He slid his card across the desk. Patricia looked at it, then at him. Something shifted in her expression, quick and controlled, the way a professional reacts when a puzzle piece clicks into place. All right, she said softly. Thank you. She stood and moved to the small copier in the corner. While it warmed up, she kept her body between the machine and the doorway, as if that thin line could keep other people out of this moment. Grant turned to Brianna. Do you have anyone, he asked? Any aunt, uncle, neighbor, anybody your mom trusts? Brianna hesitated, then shook her head. Just Mom, she said. And Grandma, but Grandma is far. Mom says we cannot bother her because she has her own problems. Grant felt that sentence like a bruise. He imagined a woman forcing herself to be proud while the world asked her to be invisible. Patricia returned with the copied card and placed it neatly on the clipboard. I will request the background check through our system, she said. It is not a full investigation, but it flags major issues. It can take a little time. Grant watched the clock on the wall. The second hand kept moving, calm and cruel. How long? He asked. Patricia answered honestly, which was the only kindness she could offer. It depends, she said. Sometimes fast, sometimes not. Brianna pressed her hands into her lap. Her shoulders rose and fell in short, shallow breaths. She was trying to be brave, but bravery had a limit when you were 8 and your world was a hospital corridor. Grant leaned forward so his face was closer to hers, not looming, not distant. Hey, he said, look at me. Brianna lifted her eyes. You are doing good, he said. I know you are scared. You do not have to pretend with me. Brianna swallowed. Her voice came out thin. If they take me, she said, will Mom find me? Patricia paused with the clipboard in her hands. Her gaze softened, and for the first time the strictness in her posture loosened. She would, Patricia said. But it would be hard. And it would be scary. That is why we are trying to prevent it. Grant felt heat rise behind his eyes. He blinked it away. This was not the time to fall apart. Patricia checked a note on her clipboard. The ICU nurse says your mother is awake for short moments, she said. There is a window right now. If we can get a simple verbal consent, it helps. It does not solve everything, but it helps. Grant nodded once. Take us to her, he said. Patricia opened the door and guided them back toward the ICU. The corridor felt louder now, even though nothing had changed. A distant intercom call, a cart rolling, a quick laugh that sounded wrong in this place. At the ICU desk, a nurse with tired eyes looked up. Her badge read Shanice LeBlanc. She was not the child's mother. Her name only matched because life enjoyed coincidences like that. Patricia spoke quietly with the nurse. Grant caught a few words. Stable, awake, briefly, blood pressure. The nurse looked at Brianna and her face softened. Hey, sweetheart, she said. We are going to see your mom for a minute. You can hold her hand, okay? Brianna nodded so hard her braids bounced. They were led into a small room where the lighting was lower. The sound changed here, too. Less hallway, more machines, more breathing. Shanice lay in the bed with tubes and tape and a bruise blooming along her arm. Her skin looked dull, like color had drained out of her. But her eyes were open, heavy, fighting to focus. When she saw Brianna, something in her face cracked. Not weakness, relief. Baby, she whispered. Brianna rushed forward but stopped short of the bed, unsure where to touch. Grant guided her gently. Here, he said. Just her hand. Brianna took her mother's hand carefully, as if it might break. She leaned in close and pressed her forehead to the back of that hand. Mom, I am here, she said. Shanice tried to lift her fingers, but the IV made it clumsy. Still, she squeezed once, a tiny squeeze that said more than words could. Then her gaze moved past Brianna. It landed on Grant. Confusion first, then recognition, as if she was replaying the morning in her mind and not sure it had been real. Grant stepped closer, keeping his voice low so it would not take the room over. Patricia says they need a guardian listed, he said. Just for tonight, while you recover. I can take her. I can keep her safe. Shanice frowned. The effort of thinking was visible, like climbing stairs while injured. You are, she whispered. You are not. I am the one who found you, Grant said. I called for help. I stayed with her. I am here now. Shanice's eyes filled, but the tears did not fall. She looked at Brianna again, then back at Grant, like she was weighing danger against desperation. The nurse leaned in gently. Ma'am, she said, we just need your, yes, a simple consent. We will document it. You can revoke it later, but right now, this keeps your daughter from being moved elsewhere. Shanice's lips trembled. She took a breath that sounded painful. Brianna, she whispered. Brianna lifted her head quickly. Mom! Shanice's voice was thin but clear. You stay with him tonight, she said. You do not let go of your bag. You call me tomorrow, okay? Brianna nodded, tears finally slipping down her cheeks. Okay, Mom. Grant felt the room tilt for a moment. Consent. A single word that changed everything. Patricia stepped closer with her phone, ready to record the hospital note. Not video, just documentation. She spoke with professional calm. Ms. LeBlanc, do you consent to Mr. Whitmore taking temporary custody of Brianna for tonight under hospital supervision until you are medically cleared? Shanice swallowed. Yes, she said. Yes. Patricia exhaled quietly. The kind of exhale you make when you have been holding your breath for too long. Thank you, Patricia said. We will handle the rest. Grant kept his eyes on Shanice. I will bring her back tomorrow, he said. I promise. Shanice's gaze held his, tired but sharp. Promise me something else, she whispered. Grant leaned closer. What? Shanice's voice dropped to a rasp, and in it was a fear that did not belong to a single day. Do not let them make her feel like she is a problem, she said. She is not. Grant felt his chest tighten. I will not, he said. Brianna squeezed her mother's hand again, then looked up at Grant, searching his face for certainty. Grant offered his hand. We will do this the right way, he said. Brianna took it. Her palm was still cold, but it no longer felt like she was slipping away. Outside the room, the ICU doors closed softly behind them, and the clock kept moving. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime, and the warmth of the lobby hit them like a blanket that did not belong to them. Grant kept Brianna close without pulling her. He matched her pace, slow and careful, letting her look at every sign and hallway corner like she needed to memorize the way out. Patricia walked ahead, phone in one hand, clipboard tucked under her arm. She moved like someone who had done this before, even if she hated it every time. "We need one more stop," Patricia said. "Security. They will log the transfer and issue a temporary wristband." Brianna glanced down at her own wrist as if it might already be marked. Grant noticed and lowered his voice. "It is just so they know you are safe," he said. "Nobody is taking you anywhere you do not choose." Brianna nodded, but her fingers tightened around the strap of her small backpack. The security desk sat near a glass wall, bright under harsh lights. A guard looked up, then looked down at the clipboard, then back up at Grant. "Name?" the guard asked. Grant answered. The guard typed it, paused, then typed again. His eyes narrowed slightly, not suspicious, more like recognition that made him unsure how to behave. He printed a sticker, then a wristband. "This is for the child," he said. "Temporary. Hospital policy." Grant crouched beside Brianna. "May I?" he asked. Brianna held out her arm. The band clicked closed with a sound that felt too loud. She flinched. Grant winced, too, as if the plastic had snapped around his own wrist. Patricia accepted the papers the guard slid across the counter. "This is your release packet," she told Grant. "It includes the emergency consent note, the safety plan, and the contact number for the on-call caseworker. You will get a call in the morning, no matter what. They will ask questions you might not like. Answer them anyway." Grant nodded. "I will," he said. Patricia looked at him for a beat longer than necessary. "And Mr. Whitmore," she added, "do not try to solve this with money. It makes things worse. It makes people suspicious." Grant held her gaze. "Then I will solve it with transparency," he said. Patricia almost smiled, but her mouth stayed professional. "Good," she said. "That is the first correct answer I have heard all week." They walked out into the night. The cold waited outside the automatic doors, sharp and clean. The streetlights made the pavement shine like ice. Brianna stopped on the threshold, pulling her shoulders up, like she could hide inside her own hoodie. Grant took off his coat. The air cut through his shirt immediately. He draped the coat over her shoulders anyway. "No," Brianna said quickly. "You will be cold." "I will be fine," Grant said. "Wear it." Brianna hesitated, then let it settle around her. The sleeves swallowed her hands. She looked down at herself, startled by how the coat made her look smaller, like a kid playing dress-up in someone else's life. Grant opened the passenger door of his car. Brianna froze again, staring at the seat like it was forbidden. Grant waited. He did not rush her. He just stood there with the door open, letting the night breathe. "It is okay," he said softly. "You can sit." Brianna climbed in carefully, as if the leather might burn. She tucked her feet up, not wanting her shoes to touch anything. Her eyes moved over the interior, then to the dashboard clock. Grant followed her gaze. It was late, but the numbers glowed steady, like time did not care. He got in, started the engine, and turned the heat on low. The vents began to breathe warm air. Brianna held her hands in front of them, palms open, like she was catching something fragile. Grant drove slowly at first, keeping the car smooth. The city outside blurred into dark windows and scattered neon. Brianna leaned her head against the seat and watched the lights pass, quiet the way kids get quiet when they are trying not to cry. After a few minutes, she spoke. "Where are we going?" she asked. Grant kept his eyes on the road. "To my place," he said. "Just for tonight. There is a guest room. You will have food, a shower if you want, and a phone charger." Brianna's voice came out smaller. "Do you live alone?" Grant answered honestly. "Yes," he said. Brianna stared at her hands. "Is it big?" she asked. Grant exhaled. "It is too big," he said. "It will feel less big when someone else is in it." That made Brianna glance up, just for a second, and something like confusion crossed her face. She did not understand why a grown man would sound sad about having space. Traffic thinned. The buildings shifted from crowded brick to calmer streets with trees standing like dark silhouettes. Grant's phone buzzed in the cup holder. He glanced at the screen. Patricia, he answered on speaker. Patricia, he said. Her voice was low, quick. The caseworker is on her way to your address, Patricia said. Not to take her. To verify. It is routine. Please do not panic when you see her. Grant's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Understood, he said. Thank you. There was a pause. Also, Patricia added, you need to know this part. Someone already called the hospital asking about the child. Not family, not police. A woman. She did not give a name. She asked if Brianna was alone. Grant felt his stomach drop. What did you tell her? He asked. Nothing, Patricia said. I told her we cannot confirm or deny. But the timing was too fast. Be careful. The call ended. The car felt colder even with the heat running. Brianna looked at him, reading his face the way kids read adults when they know something is wrong. Grant forced his voice to stay calm. Everything is fine, he said. We are almost there. Brianna nodded slowly, but her fingers curled tighter around the edge of his coat. A few minutes later, the gate to his building rose, and the car rolled into an underground garage lit by pale fluorescent lights. Grant parked, then got out and walked around to her door. Brianna waited until he opened it. Okay, he said. We are going inside. Stay close to me. Brianna stepped out, coat still wrapped around her like armor. They walked toward the elevator. Halfway there, a car engine turned over in the shadows and headlights flared on, pointing straight at them. Grant stopped. The car did not move. It just idled, bright lights locked on their faces. Brianna gripped his hand. Grant felt his pulse climb, controlled but sharp. Then the driver's side window rolled down. A woman's voice came out, calm and certain. Mr. Whitmore, she said, we need to talk about that little girl. Right now. The woman in the idling car did not step out right away. She stayed half hidden behind the glass, letting the headlights do the intimidation for her. Grant lifted his free hand, palm out, a quiet signal to slow down. Who are you? He asked. The window slid lower. Warm air from the car met the cold garage and fogged at the edge of the glass. I am the on-call caseworker, she said. County Family Services. Patricia Chin asked me to verify placement. Grant felt his muscles loosen by a fraction, but not fully. You could have parked and walked over, he said. I could have, she replied. But people run when they see my badge. She held up an identification card close to the window. The plastic caught the light, sharp and official. Grant did not step closer. He did not need to. The badge did its job. The woman rolled the window up again, cut the engine, and got out. She looked tired in a way that was not about sleep. Her coat was practical, her shoes were sensible, and her eyes were alert without being cruel. Grant, she said, stepping into the brighter strip of fluorescent light. May I speak with you for a moment? Brianna pressed against his side. The sleeves of his coat still swallowed her hands. Grant bent slightly toward her. It is okay, he murmured. She is here to make sure you are safe. Brianna stared at the caseworker's badge, then at the clipboard tucked under the woman's arm. The caseworker lowered her voice. I need to see where she will sleep, she said. I need to confirm you have food, and I need a few answers. Then I leave. Grant nodded once. Fine, he said. We are going up. The elevator hummed as it rose. The mirrored wall threw back 3 versions of them. One man too composed, one child too small, one woman too watchful. Brianna kept her eyes down, following the seam in the floor like it was a line she could stay inside. Grant unlocked his door. The latch clicked clean, expensive, final. Warmth spilled out. A faint scent of coffee lingered in the quiet. The house smelled like nothing lived there, only money and air. Brianna stepped in slowly, eyes lifting to the ceiling, then drifting across the clean lines, the polished wood, the art that looked chosen by an interior designer instead of a human being. The caseworker shut the door behind them. Show me the sleeping arrangement, she said. Grant led them down the hallway to the guest room. He had made the bed earlier, crisp white sheets pulled tight, a folded blanket at the foot, a spare pillow like a hotel promise. Brianna hovered in the doorway. Is this mine? She asked. For tonight, Grant said. For as long as you need. The caseworker glanced at the bed, then at Brianna. Does she have pajamas? She asked. Grant looked down. Brianna wore what she had been found in, thin fabric too small for this cold season. Not yet, Grant admitted. We can get some tonight. The caseworker made a note, pen scratching paper, a sound that carried in the quiet. Kitchen, she said. Grant took them there. The kitchen lights flicked on, bright and too perfect. Brianna flinched at the sudden glare, then relaxed when she saw a bowl of fruit on the counter. Grant opened cabinets, the refrigerator, the pantry. Everything was stocked, but it looked like a display, not like a family lived inside it. The caseworker checked boxes on her form. Any allergies? She asked Brianna. Brianna looked at Grant first, then answered. No, she said. Grant cleared his throat. Her mother mentioned asthma medication, he said. Brianna said her mom has insulin. The caseworker nodded without surprise. I will need the hospital discharge note and the intake summary, she said. Do you have copies? Grant reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the folded paperwork Patricia had given him. He handed it over. The caseworker scanned it fast, practiced. Her eyes paused on a line, and her expression changed, almost imperceptible. The intake sheet still carried the stamped time of 6:47. The ink looked too fresh to be real. Grant watched her eyes move. What? He asked. Someone called the hospital, she said, not long after intake. Patricia told you. Grant nodded. She asked if the child was alone, Grant said. The caseworker looked up. That is not a normal question, she said. That is a targeting question. Grant felt his jaw tighten. Who would target a child? He asked. The caseworker did not answer directly. It could be a landlord, she said, a relative, a creditor, or someone who thinks they can control the mother through the child. Brianna stiffened at the word mother. Grant lowered his voice again. Hey, he said to Brianna, do you know anyone who comes to your apartment when your mom is not home? Brianna hesitated, then nodded once. Sometimes a man knocks, she said. He wears a hat. He gets mad. Grant felt heat rise behind his eyes. What does he say? Grant asked. Brianna swallowed. He says pay, she whispered. He says if we do not pay, we go outside. The caseworker's pen paused. Do you know his name? She asked gently. Brianna shook her head. He smells like smoke, Brianna added, as if smell was the only name she had. Grant pictured a man at a door, filling a hallway with threat, and he felt something in him go cold and focused. The caseworker set her clipboard down. Mr. Whitmore, she said, you cannot contact anyone connected to that address tonight. Not the landlord, not the building manager, not the neighbor. If you do, the wrong person hears you have the child. Grant nodded. What do I do? He asked. You keep her inside, she said. You lock your doors. You do not post anything. You call the non-emergency line if anyone shows up, and you let me file the immediate safety note. Grant exhaled slowly. Brianna's eyes moved from the caseworker to Grant. Am I in trouble? She asked. Grant crouched until he was level with her. No, he said. You are brave. You did everything right. Brianna stared at him, trying to decide if she could believe adults again. The caseworker picked up her phone. I am going to step outside to make the report, she said. I will be right outside your door. You stay with her. Grant nodded. The moment the caseworker left the room, the house felt louder in its silence. Brianna's shoulders sagged, like holding herself up had been work. Grant opened a cabinet, pulled down a mug, and set it on the counter. Hot chocolate, he asked. Warm, sweet? Brianna nodded, barely. Grant filled a small pot, turned the burner on. The flame clicked and caught. A simple sound, a normal sound. Brianna watched the blue fire with wide eyes. Grant glanced toward the hallway, then back to her. Nobody is taking you away tonight, he said. Not on my watch. Brianna did not answer. She just stood there, wrapped in his coat, hands hidden in the sleeves, breathing in the first safe warmth she had felt all day. The kettle began to whisper before it ever boiled. Steam climbed in a thin ribbon, then vanished against the stainless steel hood. Grant stirred the cocoa slowly, as if speed could startle the room. Brianna sat on a high stool, swinging her legs in short, careful arcs that never quite touched the cabinet doors. Her eyes stayed on the pot. The blue flame seemed to hold her attention better than any reassurance. Grant poured the drink into a small cup and set it in front of her. He slid a napkin under it like it mattered, like small, neat things could rebuild a world. "It is warm," he said. Brianna wrapped both hands around the cup. The heat climbed into her fingers, her shoulders eased. She took a sip, then another, slower, like she was afraid it would disappear if she drank too fast. A soft knock came from the hallway. Grant opened the door a crack. The caseworker stood there with her phone lowered and her clipboard tucked tight to her chest. "I filed the safety note," she said. "I also requested a medical release so I can get updates without guessing. Tonight you keep it simple. Food, sleep, and no surprises." Grant nodded. "And her mother?" he asked. "Stable," she replied. "Not out of danger, but stable. She will be transferred to a unit where she can be monitored. You will be contacted when visitation is appropriate." Brianna lifted her head at the word mother. Her mouth tightened like she was holding something back. The caseworker glanced past Grant into the kitchen. "Does she have clothing?" she asked. "Not yet," Grant said. "I was going to order something." "Order is fine," she said. "But tonight she needs something now. Socks, a sweater, something that feels like hers, not borrowed." Grant understood the point. Borrowed meant temporary. Temporary meant fragile. "I will take care of it," he said. The caseworker's eyes moved to his face, measuring whether his confidence was competence or pride. "One more thing," she said. "She may test you." Grant blinked. "Children who have been pushed around test the floor before they trust it," she said. "If she lies, if she argues, if she goes silent, do not take it personally. Keep your voice steady, keep your word. That is the whole trick." Grant held the door open as she left. "Thank you," he said. She paused, then spoke without turning back. "Do not confuse protection with control," she said. "She needs safety, not a cage." Then she was gone, footsteps fading down the hall. Grant locked the door. The click sounded heavier now, like a seal. He turned and found Brianna watching him, cup still between her hands. "Are you leaving?" she asked. "No," he said. "But I am going out for a short time. I will come back." Brianna's eyes narrowed, suspicious and tired. "People say that," she murmured. Grant crouched beside her stool. "I know," he said. "So here is what we do. You stay in this kitchen. You keep the door locked. You do not open it for anyone. If you need me, you press one button." He pulled out his phone and tapped the screen until a single icon filled the center. A large circle, simple, impossible to miss. "This calls me," he said. "It rings loud. Even if I am in a store, I will hear it." Brianna stared at the screen as if it were magic, then looked up. "You promise," she said. Grant did not smile. He did not soften it with charm. He made it plain. "I promise," he said. Brianna took another sip, then nodded once. Grant moved through the apartment quickly. He grabbed his wallet, a spare key, and his coat. Before he left, he walked to the guest room and switched on a small lamp by the bed. He pulled a soft blanket from the closet and folded it at the foot. He placed a stuffed bear he had once been given at a charity gala on the pillow and immediately hated himself for how stupid it felt. But when he returned to the kitchen, Brianna's eyes followed the bear as if it were a question. "It is not fancy," Grant said, awkward, "but it can keep you company." Brianna did not reach for it. She just looked. Then, she whispered something too small to be confident. "Okay." Grant locked the door behind him and walked down to the garage. The cold hit him like a slap, clean and sharp. He drove to the nearest store without thinking about traffic lights, without thinking about anything except the size of Brianna's thin shoes and the way she had wrapped her hands around that cup like it was the only warm thing left in her life. Inside the store, bright aisles stretched like a maze. Grant stood in front of children's clothing suddenly out of his depth. He picked up socks, then put them back, then picked up a different pack. He chose soft sweatpants, a hoodie, a simple purple pajama set because the color looked like bedtime, not hospital. At the register, the cashier smiled politely, then looked again when she recognized his face. "Late night shopping," she said. Grant did not return the smile. "Family emergency," he answered. He drove back faster than he should have. When he opened his apartment door, the silence hit first. Not empty silence, waiting silence. Brianna stood exactly where he left her, still on the stool, cup now half empty. The bear sat on the counter beside her, closer than before. She had not hugged it, but she had moved it. That was something. Grant held up the bag. "I am back," he said. Brianna stared at him for a long moment, then exhaled as if she had been holding her breath the whole time. "You came," she said, like it surprised her. Grant set the bag on the counter and pulled out the socks first. "These are yours," he said. "Nobody else will wear them. Nobody will take them." Brianna reached out slowly, touched the fabric with her fingertips, then pulled the socks to her chest. "Mine," she repeated. Grant nodded. "Mine," he said. "Yours." Brianna slid off the stool and walked toward the guest room, not running, not rushing, just moving with a cautious determination. At the doorway, she paused and looked back. "Can the light stay on?" she asked. Grant swallowed. "Yes," he said. "The light stays on." She stepped inside and closed the door halfway, leaving a thin line of hallway light like a safety rope. Grant stood in the kitchen alone for a moment, listening. He could hear the smallest sounds now, fabric rustling, a soft sniff, the creak of the bed as she climbed in, then a whisper, barely audible, carried through the crack of the door. "Good night, Grant." Grant did not answer right away. He stared at the locked front door, at the quiet hallway beyond it, and at the invisible threats that did not care how expensive his locks were. He kept his voice steady anyway. "Good night, Brianna," he said. "You are safe here." Morning arrived without drama, only routine. A soft hum from the heater, the faint rattle of pipes, the pale light sliding across the floor like it was checking the room before anyone else dared to. Grant was already awake, not because of an alarm, but because his mind refused to trust quiet. He stood at the counter slicing fruit into small pieces, the way someone does when they want to look harmless. A tiny shuffle sounded behind him. Brianna appeared in the hallway, hair still tangled, cheeks flushed from sleep. She wore the purple pajama set like it had always belonged to her. The socks were pulled up high, and for the first time her feet did not look like they were bracing for impact. She stopped at the doorway. "Is it still morning?" she asked. "It is," Grant said. "Do you want pancakes or eggs?" Brianna hesitated. Her eyes searched for the trick. "Can I just have toast?" she said. Grant nodded and set bread in the toaster. He moved slowly, keeping his body angled so she could see his hands. No sudden turns, no looming. While the toaster clicked, Brianna drifted toward the table. She touched the chair first, testing it. Then she climbed up and folded her hands in her lap like she was trying to take up as little space as possible. Grant placed a plate in front of her. Toast, butter, a small bowl of fruit. He set a glass of water beside it. "You can eat as much or as little as you want," he said. Brianna stared at the food, then looked up. "Are you going to watch me?" she asked. Grant leaned back against the counter, keeping distance. "I am here," he said, "but I will not watch you like you are in trouble." Brianna took a bite, chewed carefully, swallowed. The muscles in her jaw loosened. Then her eyes went to his phone on the counter. "Is that the button?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "If I press it, you come," she said. "Always," Grant answered. She nodded once, then took another bite of toast, faster this time. A knock came at the door, polite and timed, not random. Grant checked the peephole. The caseworker stood outside, and next to her was a woman with a plain coat and a calm face. A therapist. No clipboard raised like a shield. No forced smile. Just patience. Grant opened the door. "Good morning," the caseworker said. "This is Dr. Foster. She will be helping with an intake today, only if Brianna agrees." Brianna appeared behind Grant, half hidden by the wall. She looked at the stranger the way a cornered animal looks at a new hand. Dr. Foster lowered herself slightly, not bending too close, but meeting Brianna at her height without demanding anything. "Hi, Brianna," she said. "I brought a small game. If you do not feel like talking, we can just play." Brianna did not respond. Grant waited. He wanted to fill the silence, to fix it, but he held his tongue. After a long moment, Brianna asked, quiet, "Is it a baby game?" Dr. Foster's eyes softened. "It is a smart game," she said. "It is only boring if you are smarter than me." A tiny flicker moved across Brianna's face. Not a smile, but something close to curiosity. Grant stepped aside. "You can come in," he said. They sat at the table. The caseworker handled the forms with practiced speed, pointing only when necessary. Dr. Foster placed a small deck of picture cards on the table. Brianna kept her hands in her lap at first, then slowly reached out. Dr. Foster did not start with questions about fear. She started with choices. "Pick a card that looks like today," she said. Brianna chose one with a house and a tall tree, but she did not speak. "Pick a card that looks like a place you feel safe," Dr. Foster said. Brianna paused, then chose a blank card and pushed it forward. There was nothing on it, just white. Dr. Foster nodded like it made perfect sense. "We can draw it later," she said. The caseworker glanced at Grant, a silent reminder. This was not a quick fix. This was a long road. After the intake, the caseworker folded her papers and stood. "Next steps," she said. "We will arrange supervised visits when the doctors clear her mother. We will also schedule weekly therapy. And Grant, we need to discuss boundaries." Grant's jaw tightened. "I understand," he said. Dr. Foster packed the cards away, then looked at Brianna. "Before I go," she said, "I have one question. You can answer with a nod, or you can answer with nothing. Is it okay if I come back?" Brianna stared at her for a long time. Then she nodded once, small but real. When the door closed behind them, the apartment felt different. Not safe, not yet, but possible. Grant returned to the kitchen and began washing the plates. The repetitive motion steadied him. Brianna lingered near the guest room, holding the stuffed bear by one arm. "Where do I go now?" she asked. Grant turned off the water and dried his hands. "We can make a plan," he said. "Not a strict plan, a gentle one. Do you want to see the park, or do you want to stay inside today?" Brianna's eyes widened. "Outside," she repeated. "Like outside, outside." "Yes," Grant said. "Only if you want. We can leave whenever you want." Brianna looked at the window as if it was a screen showing another life. Her fingers tightened around the bear. "What if someone sees me?" she asked. Grant kept his voice calm. "Then they see you," he said, "and nothing bad happens because you exist." Brianna blinked at that, like the idea was unfamiliar. She did not say yes, not right away. Instead, she asked, smaller, "Do I have to hold your hand?" Grant paused, then chose his words carefully. "No," he said, "but if you want to, you can. And if you do not, that is okay too." Brianna stared at him, weighing whether freedom was real or a trap. Finally, she walked to the entryway and sat down to put on her shoes. Her hands shook at first, then steadied. Grant brought her a soft beanie and held it out without forcing it. "It is cold," he said. Brianna took it and pulled it on. Then she stood at the door, one hand on the lock. She looked up at him. "If I get scared, we go back," she said. "Immediately," Grant replied. Brianna opened the door. The hallway smelled like clean paint and winter air. The elevator dinged somewhere down the corridor. Brianna stepped out slowly, as if expecting the building itself to shout at her. Nothing happened. No voices, no hands, no accusations. Her shoulders rose, then lowered, like she was learning the shape of calm. Grant walked beside her, careful not to lead, just present. When the elevator doors opened, Brianna looked at their reflection in the metal. A man in a neat coat, a child in purple pajamas under a jacket, clutching a bear like a shield. She reached out, then stopped, then reached again, and placed 2 fingers lightly against Grant's sleeve. Not a grip, a test. Grant did not react like it was precious. He did not make it a moment. He simply stood still, letting her decide. The elevator began to descend. And for the first time, the quiet in Grant's chest did not feel like a warning. It felt like a beginning. The lobby smelled like polished stone and expensive coffee, but Shanice could still feel the hospital on her skin, not the place, the memory. The way people looked through you when you were tired enough to be invisible. Grant walked beside her, matching her pace instead of setting it. "You do not have to come in," he said. Shanice kept her eyes forward. "If I keep stepping back, I will never stop," she said. The security desk was quiet until the guard looked up and recognized Grant. The man straightened too quickly, smile snapping into place like a badge. "Morning, sir." Then his gaze slid to Shanice. Not hostile, not kind, just curious. Measuring. Grant did not introduce her. He did not announce her. He simply spoke like the moment belonged to her, not him. "She is with me," he said. Shanice felt the air change. The guard nodded, but his hand hovered near the logbook anyway. Guest badge, he said, eyes on her now. Grant watched Shanice, waiting, giving her the choice. Shanice reached into her bag and pulled out her identification card. Her fingers did not shake, but she could feel the effort it took to keep them steady. The guard took it, typed, printed a badge, and clipped it onto a lanyard. "Welcome, ma'am," he said, as if he had always planned to. Shanice put the badge on herself, not letting anyone do it for her. The elevator ride was silent except for the faint whir of cables and the soft vibration underfoot. Grant stood a half step away, hands relaxed, posture neutral, the kind of careful that was easy to mistake for distance. When the doors opened, Shanice stepped into a corridor of glass and light. People moved fast, heads down, voices low, a world that ran on calendars and confidence. A woman in a tailored suit crossed toward them, tablet in hand. She did not slow until she was close enough to confirm what she was seeing. "Good morning, Mr. Hale," she said. Then her eyes flicked to Shanice again. "I did not realize you had a guest on the schedule." Grant's expression stayed calm. "This is Shanice," he said. "She is here for a meeting." The woman's smile sharpened a fraction. "Of course," she said. "We can arrange a conference room." Shanice could feel the word arrange, like a fence being built around her. A polite way of controlling where she could exist. Grant glanced at Shanice. "Do you want a conference room?" he asked. "Or do you want somewhere else?" Shanice surprised herself. "Somewhere normal," she said. "Not hidden." Grant nodded. "My office?" he said. The woman hesitated. "Just a beat too long." "Understood," she replied, and walked ahead. As they moved, Shanice noticed the small things people did when they saw him. They shifted out of his path without thinking. They laughed a little harder at jokes they had not finished hearing. They glanced at Shanice and then away, as if eye contact might turn into a problem they would have to explain later. Grant opened the door to his office, and the quiet inside felt like a different temperature. Shanice stepped in, taking in the clean desk, the framed photo on the shelf, the soft chair positioned across from his. The room looked like authority without noise. Grant did not sit behind the desk. He took the chair beside the window instead, leaving the desk untouched, like he did not want it between them. "What do you want to say first?" he asked. Shanice exhaled through her nose. "I do not want favors," she said. "I want clarity." Grant nodded once. "Then we start there," he said. Shanice held his gaze. "People will talk," she said. "And I cannot afford to be a story." Grant did not deny it. "They already are," he said. "But we can decide what is true and what is noise." Shanice leaned forward slightly. "What is true," she said, "is that you are my boss in this building, and I am not going to walk around here like I am something you bought." Grant's jaw tightened, not in anger, but in recognition, like the truth hit a spot he had been avoiding. "You are right," he said, "and I do not want that either." Shanice looked down at the guest badge on her chest. The word guest felt like a reminder that she did not belong. "Then prove it," she said. Grant was quiet for a moment, choosing the kind of honesty that was not easy. "I cannot be both," he said. "Not the way people will twist it. If we keep going the way we have been, you will be treated like a secret or like an advantage, and neither is fair to you." Shanice's throat tightened. "So what?" she asked. "You want to end it?" Grant's eyes did not flinch. "I want boundaries," he said. "Real ones. The kind that protect you, not the kind that lock you out." He reached for a folder on the side table, not the desk. He placed it on his lap, not between them like a contract, but like something he had been preparing with care. "My legal team suggested options," he said. "I hated every one of them, so I asked for more." Shanice held still. "Options," she repeated. Grant opened the folder. "One," he said, "you never work for this company. Not as a favor, not as a rescue. That way nobody can say you benefited from me here." Shanice felt her pride flare, then settle into something steadier. "Two," he continued, "we keep our personal lives separate from this building. No lunches in the cafeteria, no rides in the executive elevator, no putting you in rooms where people will whisper." Shanice swallowed. "And the third?" she asked. Grant hesitated, then spoke anyway. "The third is the hardest," he said. "I step back from decisions connected to you in any way. Housing support, medical coordination, anything. I appoint an independent advocate through the caseworker system, someone who is not me. Shanice stared at him. You would give up control, she said. Grant nodded. I do not want you to owe me, he said. I want you to choose me, if you ever do, because you are free to walk away. The words landed heavy. Not romantic, not dramatic, just real. Shanice looked at the folder again, then back at him. And what do you get? She asked. Grant's voice softened. A chance to be in your life without owning it, he said. Outside the office, a faint laugh drifted down the hall, then faded. Somewhere in the building, people were already turning their eyes into opinions. Shanice stood up. The chair legs whispered against the floor. She walked to the window and looked down at the street, at the tiny moving dots of people who had no idea what it cost to be seen. When she spoke, her voice was steady. I am not afraid of work, she said. I am afraid of being trapped again. Grant stayed seated, giving her the space to say it. Then we build a door, not a cage, he said. Shanice turned. If we do this, she said, you do not get to save me. You do not get to speak for me. You do not get to decide what is best when I disagree. Grant nodded. Agreed, he said. Shanice pulled the guest badge off her chest and placed it on the edge of his desk. Not gently, not harshly, like a line drawn. I will not wear that, she said. Grant looked at the badge, then back up. Then we will get you one that fits, he said. Shanice felt something shift in her chest. Not relief, not victory, something quieter. A choice. She picked up the folder, held it for a moment, then handed it back. I will do the independence test, she said. The real one. Not the kind where I pretend I do not need help. The kind where I make my own decisions even when it scares me. Grant's eyes held hers. And I will do mine, he said. A knock sounded at the door. The woman with the tablet returned, expression polite, eyes sharp. Mr. Hale, she said, your board call has been moved up, and legal is asking about your conflict of interest policy update. Grant did not look away from Shanice. Tell them I will join, he said, and tell legal the update is happening today. The woman blinked, then nodded and left. Shanice let out a slow breath. They are not going to like this, she said. Grant's mouth curved, almost a smile. Then they will have to learn, he said. Shanice stepped toward the door, then paused. One more thing, she said. Grant waited. In this building, she said, do not touch me. Do not defend me. Do not stand in front of me. Grant's voice was low. And outside this building, he asked. Shanice held his gaze for a long moment, then answered without softness, because softness could be misread. Outside, she said. You can stand beside me. Grant nodded once. Beside, he repeated. Shanice opened the door and walked into the corridor. Heads turned, eyes flicked. The whisper current started immediately. But Shanice did not shrink. She walked like she belonged to herself. Shanice stepped into the hallway and felt the building react the way a body reacts to a sudden bruise. People did not stare for long. They did not need to. Their glances did the talking for them. A man in a blue tie paused mid-sentence while speaking to a coworker. A woman with a headset pretended to read her tablet, but her eyes tracked Shanice's badge like it was a warning label. Someone laughed too loudly near the break area, the kind of laugh that tried to bury discomfort. Shanice kept walking. She followed the woman with the tablet through a maze of glass offices and muted conversations until they reached a smaller corridor near HR and compliance. The air changed here. Less ambition, more procedure. The walls held framed policies instead of glossy awards. The woman stopped at a door with a frosted window and a calm, neutral sign. Independent Advocacy Office. This is Ms. Patel, she said. She will handle your case support moving forward. Scheduling, resources, referrals. Everything will go through her, not through anyone else. Shanice heard the unspoken part. Not through him. The woman's voice softened, just enough to sound human. Mr. Hale asked for this office specifically, she added. He wanted separation. Shanice gave a small nod and pushed the door open. Inside, a woman stood up from a round table. Not a desk, no power posture, no barrier. She wore a plain sweater and a simple watch. Her eyes were steady. Shanice, she said, I am Annika Patel. You can sit wherever you want. Shanice chose the chair closest to the exit. Not out of fear, out of habit. Patel did not comment on it. I do not work for him, Patel said. I work for process. My job is to protect your autonomy and your privacy. We will write everything down. We will track every decision. You will approve every step. Shanice studied her face. And if I say no, Shanice asked. Then it is no, Patel replied. Unless there is a legal requirement, and if there is, I will explain it before you sign anything. Patel slid a single page across the table. No thick packet, no intimidation. This is a consent form for services, she said. It does not bind you to anything long-term. It only allows me to make phone calls and schedule appointments on your behalf. You can revoke it any time. Shanice read it slowly. Her eyes caught on one line about confidentiality and exceptions for mandatory reporting. Patel waited without pushing. When Shanice set the paper down, Patel spoke again. Before we talk logistics, I want to ask one thing, Patel said. What does independence look like to you? Shanice's mouth tightened. It looks like breathing without asking permission, she said. Patel nodded like she understood. Good, she said. Then we will measure decisions, not money. Decisions are the real test. Patel opened a notebook and wrote, not because she doubted Shanice, but because she respected her. Here are the areas we can address, Patel said. Housing stability, health follow-up, childcare resources, legal support for benefits, employment counseling. We prioritize what you pick. Shanice tapped the table once with her fingertip. Counseling, she said. Patel's eyebrows lifted slightly, impressed but careful not to show it too much. Individual counseling, Patel said. Family counseling if you want, Trauma informed. No religious pressure, no judgment, and no one in this company will have access to your notes. Shanice felt something unclench in her shoulders. And the independence test, she said. Patel smiled, small and sharp. That is not a form, Patel said. That is a plan. We create checkpoints, points where you choose for yourself even if another option is easier. We document those choices to protect you from narratives people will invent later. Shanice paused. Narratives like, she said that I traded dignity for comfort. Patel's eyes did not blink. Yes, Patel said. Exactly like that. A silence settled. Not awkward, useful. Then Patel slid another paper across the table. This one had 3 columns. Choice, reason, outcome. Today, Patel said, the first checkpoint is simple. You decide how you leave this building. Alone, with a driver, with public transport, with me walking you to the lobby. Whatever you choose it because it is yours. Shanice swallowed. It was almost irritating how small the decision sounded. But small decisions were where control came back. I leave alone, Shanice said. But I want you to watch me from inside. Not to protect me, to witness. Patel nodded. Done, she said. A buzz of sound rose from the hallway outside, a cluster of voices. A door opened and shut. The tone was sharp, clipped, managerial. Patel glanced toward the sound, then back to Shanice. There is something else happening today, Patel said. It may affect how people behave around you. Shanice's stomach tightened. What? She asked. Patel chose her words carefully. There is a compliance update going to the board, Patel said. A conflict of interest policy revision, effective immediately. People are upset because it changes how power is protected. Some will blame you because blaming you is easier than admitting the system was comfortable. Shanice stared at the paper in front of her. So I become the reason, she said. You become the excuse, Patel corrected. The reason is that someone finally drew a line. Shanice felt heat in her eyes. She did not let it spill. Patel leaned forward slightly. You will hear things, Patel said. If anyone approaches you, pressures you, threatens your access to resources, you tell me, not him, me. I will document it and act. Shanice let out a breath that sounded like a laugh with no humor. People really do need someone to blame, she said. Patel's voice was quiet. They do, she said, especially when they are scared. Shanice stood up. I am ready, she said. Patel stood too and walked with her to the door. She did not touch Shanice's arm. She did not guide her. She simply walked beside her until they reached the corner where the lobby came into view. From here, Patel said, your choice. Shanice nodded once and stepped forward. The lobby was brighter now, more people, a few heads turned. Someone whispered a name that was not hers. Someone else whispered her anyway. Shanice walked past the security desk, shoulders squared, eyes level. The guard hesitated like he wanted to say something, then thought better of it. Outside, cold air hit her face and woke something fierce in her chest. She took 3 steps onto the sidewalk. That was when a black sedan rolled up to the curb, smooth and silent, like it belonged there. The passenger window lowered halfway. A man inside leaned forward just enough for Shanice to see his smile. It was the kind of smile that tried to look friendly while measuring your price. "Ms. Johnson," he said, "I represent Leonard Rhodes Financial. We need to talk about your outstanding medical debt. Today." Shanice froze, not because of fear, but because she recognized the timing. Patel was watching from behind the glass. The man's smile widened. "It will only take a minute," he said, "unless you want this to get complicated." Shanice did not move closer to the car. She did not step back either. She held her tote strap like it was a handle on a door that could open in either direction. The man in the sedan kept his smile, but his eyes sharpened when he realized she was not reacting the way fear usually asked. "I am not signing anything on a sidewalk," Shanice said. He chuckled softly, like she had made a joke for him. "You do not have to sign," he said. "I just need to confirm a few items. Address, employer, next of kin. Standard verification." "Standard for who?" Shanice asked. "For you," he said. "For people who have accounts." Shanice stared at him. The word accounts landed like a collar. Neat, professional, still a collar. From behind the lobby glass, Patel was a still shape near the corner, watching without interfering. "Witnessing?" like Shanice asked. The man tilted his head. "We can do this the easy way," he said. "Or we can escalate. Wage garnishment, collections, the usual." Shanice felt her throat tighten. Not panic, anger, the kind that had nowhere to go for too long. "I have an advocate," Shanice said. "You can contact her." The man's smile thinned. "Advocates do not change contracts," he said. "You already agreed when you received services." Shanice leaned slightly toward the open window, just enough for him to hear her clearly. "You are not talking to a contract," she said. "You are talking to me, and I am saying no." For a second, the man looked almost impressed. Then he reached toward the glove compartment, slow and deliberate, and pulled out a clipboard. He held it up like a weapon made of paper. "Then let us confirm your identity," he said. "Full name and date of birth." Shanice's hands curled into her tote strap. She could hear her own heartbeat, steady but loud in her ears. A voice cut through the air behind her, calm and precise. "Step away from the vehicle, sir." Shanice did not turn yet. The voice was not Patel. It was deeper, familiar in a way she could not place. The man in the sedan blinked and glanced past Shanice. That is when Shanice turned. Grant Hale stood a few feet behind her, coat buttoned, tie slightly loosened, as if he had walked out of a meeting without finishing the last sentence. He did not look angry. He looked controlled. The kind of control that comes from someone used to closing doors quietly and locking them. Grant's eyes met Shanice's for a brief moment. Not a rescue look, a confirmation. He was here, but she still owned her decision. Shanice stepped 1 pace to the side, creating space, not surrendering it, creating it. Grant shifted his attention to the man in the car. "You are blocking a public curb," Grant said. "You are pressuring an employee off premises, outside of scheduled communication. And you are doing it without written notice. That is not standard. That is sloppy." The man straightened, trying to match the tone. "Mr. Hale," he said, as if the name gave him leverage. "We are a third-party service provider. This is lawful contact." Grant's expression did not change. "Third party for which entity?" Grant asked. "Leonard Rhodes Financial," the man said. Grant nodded slowly, like he was filing it into a drawer. "I want your badge number," Grant said. "Your supervisor name. And the recorded call log for this account, including the authorization chain for on-site contact." The man laughed once, brittle. "We do not provide internal documentation on request," he said. Grant looked at him the way a surgeon looks at a dirty instrument. "You will," Grant said. "Because if you do not, my next call is not to you. It is to your licensing board, your contracting partners, and our legal team." And I will ask why a company that claims compliance trains representatives to intimidate people in daylight. The man's smile disappeared. His voice dropped into a sharper line. With respect, sir, you cannot interfere with a lawful debt collection, he said. Grant leaned closer to the window, not threatening, just unavoidable. With respect, Grant said. You are not collecting today. You are fishing. You are fishing for fear, for mistakes, for a reaction you can write down and sell to the next department, and you picked the wrong sidewalk. Shanice felt a strange wave pass through her chest. Not relief, not gratitude, recognition. He was not battling for her. He was battling a pattern. The man's gaze flicked to Shanice, then back to Grant. This account has acceleration clauses, he said. There are consequences. Grant's mouth curved in a small, humorless way. So do I, Grant said. He stepped back and pulled his phone from his pocket. He did not dial immediately. He looked at Shanice first. Do you want this handled through Patel? Grant asked. Or do you want me to speak for the company? Shanice understood what he was really offering. A choice, a checkpoint, her choice. Shanice lifted her chin. Through Patel, she said. Documentation, process. Grant nodded once, as if he expected nothing less. Good, he said. He raised his phone and spoke, clear and measured. Anika Patel, he said, please come outside. We have an unauthorized third-party contact attempt. I want it documented in real time. Patel appeared at the lobby door within seconds, coat already on, pen in hand. She walked with purpose, but no panic. The man in the sedan shifted, suddenly aware that the scene had turned into a record. Patel stopped a few steps from the window. Sir, Patel said, state your name, your employer, and your reason for contacting my client off premises without appointment. The man hesitated. His eyes scanned the sidewalk like he was looking for an exit that would not look like retreat. Grant did not raise his voice. He did not need to. You can leave now, he said. Or you can answer and be recorded. Those are your options. The man's jaw tightened. He lowered the clipboard. Fine, he muttered, and the window began to rise. Patel held her phone up and spoke calmly into it. Vehicle, black sedan, Patel said. Representative declined identification and terminated contact. The sedan rolled forward, too smooth, too practiced, and merged into traffic like nothing happened. Shanice stood still for a beat, staring at the space the car had occupied. Cold wind brushed her cheek, and she realized her hands were shaking. Patel turned to Shanice. Are you safe? Patel asked. Shanice breathed in, then out. Yes, she said. But they knew where to find me. Grant's eyes narrowed, not at her, at the invisible chain behind the moment. They should not, he said. Patel's voice stayed professional, but her gaze was sharp. They did not find her by accident, Patel said. Grant looked down at his phone screen like it was suddenly heavier. Then someone inside our system handed them a map, he said. Shanice felt the sidewalk tilt under that sentence. A new kind of fear, quieter, smarter. Grant's voice lowered, controlled but edged. And if Leonard Rhodes Financial is involved, he said, then this is bigger than debt. He looked at Shanice again, careful, steady. You chose process, he said. I will honor that, but I need you to understand something. Shanice waited. Grant's jaw tightened. If they are willing to cross this line in public, he said, they have already crossed worse lines in private. Patel's phone buzzed in her hand. She glanced at the screen, then her face changed. Not fear, confirmation. We just received a new notice, Patel said quietly. Emergency update from compliance. Grant's eyes held hers. Read it, he said. Patel swallowed once. Leonard Rhodes Financial has been added to the restricted vendor list, Patel said. Effective immediately. Reason, active investigation. Shanice felt the cold air sharpen. Investigation for what? She asked. Patel's eyes lifted to hers. For coercive collection practices, Patel said, and unauthorized access to protected personal data. Grant did not move, but his voice turned into something quieter and more dangerous. Then they did not come for money, he said. They came for leverage. And somewhere, someone decided Shanice was the easiest lever to pull. Grant did not drive back to the office. He drove toward the river, where the city opened into quieter streets, and the glass towers stopped reflecting themselves. Patel sat in the passenger seat, phone pressed to her ear, listening more than speaking. Every few seconds she wrote a note on a legal pad, neat and fast, like she was building a bridge while standing on it. Shanice sat in the back with her hands in her lap. Her tote was on the seat beside her, zipped, as if closing it could keep the world from reaching in. Grant turned at a light and said softly, "We are going somewhere public." Shanice blinked. "Public. A place with cameras," he added. "A place with witnesses." Patel lowered her phone. "That is smart," she said, "and symbolic." Grant did not answer that part. His eyes stayed on the road. They arrived at the botanical garden just after it opened. The air smelled like wet leaves and clean soil. Morning sun spilled through the greenhouse glass, breaking into pale stripes across the stone path. Families moved slowly, carrying coffee, pushing strollers. No one hurried here, no one demanded. Grant chose a bench near a bed of winter flowers, small, stubborn blooms surviving cold air. He sat, but did not relax. Patel stood in front of him, posture straight. She looked like she belonged in a boardroom, even here among birds and plants. "I spoke with compliance," Patel said. "They are frightened. They are also grateful you called before this became a headline." Grant exhaled once, controlled. "Do we have names?" he asked. Patel tapped her pad. "We have access logs," she said. "We have an internal user pulling private data through a tool that was never meant for collections. We have timestamps. And we have a vendor trail." Someone inside opened the door. Leonard Rhodes walked through it. Shanice felt her stomach turn. She stared at a patch of moss on a stone, focusing on the smallest detail so she would not drown in the bigger one. Grant looked at Shanice. "They used you because they thought you would stay quiet," he said. Shanice lifted her gaze. "They used me because quiet is what I have been trained to be," she said. Patel watched her carefully, as if evaluating not her fear, but her strength. "You do not have to do this alone," Patel said. Shanice swallowed. "What does doing this even look like?" she asked. Grant leaned forward, forearms on his knees. "It looks like control," he said. "Not panic. It looks like choosing the route that protects you and your daughter. It looks like truth on record." Patel nodded. "I can file an emergency protective notice with human resources and security," she said. "No one contacts you without me present. No one. And I can request a temporary personal data freeze. It will limit access, even for internal teams, until the investigation is complete." Shanice frowned. "Will that cost me my job?" she asked. Grant answered immediately. "No," he said. "If anyone tries to make it cost you, I will make it cost them." There was no drama in his voice, just certainty. Patel added, "This will cost you energy, though. That part I cannot sugarcoat." Shanice nodded slowly. She had lived in the world of unpaid costs. Grant stood, then turned slightly so Shanice could see his face fully. "I am going to ask you a question," he said, "and you can say no." Shanice waited. "Will you give a statement?" Grant asked. "Not for me, for the record, for the investigation, for the part of you that is tired of being leveraged." Shanice felt heat behind her eyes, sharp and embarrassing. She pressed her tongue to the roof of her mouth until the feeling steadied. "If I do," she said, "will they come harder?" Patel answered this time. "They might try," she said. "That is why we build a fence before we light the lantern." Shanice looked at the garden path. A child ran past, laughing, shoes squeaking on stone. The sound was bright, almost painful. Shanice took a breath. "I will give the statement," she said. Grant nodded once, like a door had just clicked into place. "Good," he said. "We do it today." Patel opened her bag and pulled out a recorder, small and plain. "Before we begin," Patel said, "I need your consent to record, and I need you to speak in your own words. Short sentences, clear facts. If you feel overwhelmed, we pause. That is not weakness. That is strategy." Shanice surprised herself by smiling, brief and tired. "Strategy," she echoed. Patel turned the recorder on. A small red light appeared. "State your name," Patel said. Shanice spoke it. Patel guided her through the details, the contact attempt, the language used, the threats, the way the representative tried to pull identifiers from her without notice. Shanice kept her voice steady. When it trembled, she paused and returned to the facts. She did not apologize for breathing. Grant stayed quiet. He watched the path, as if he was guarding the air around them. When Shanice finished, Patel stopped the recording and put it away. "That was clean," Patel said. "That was strong." Shanice exhaled, long and shaky, like her body had been holding the air since sunrise. Grant sat back down, gaze distant for a moment. "The access logs point to one internal user," Patel said. "But the pattern suggests more than one person benefited. We will find out who." Grant nodded. "I want the entire vendor relationship audited," he said. "I want every contract, every payment, every email chain. And I want the board to know, not because I like drama, but because silence is how this grows." Shanice looked at him. "You said leverage," she said. "What do they want from me?" Grant met her eyes. "They want you to feel small," he said. "Small people do not fight. Small people do not ask questions. Small people sign on sidewalks." He paused, then softened his tone. "But you did not sign," he said. "You stayed standing. That is why this ends differently." Shanice stared at the winter flowers. She imagined her daughter seeing them, pointing, asking why something so bright could survive cold air. Patel glanced at her watch. "We need to move," she said. "We have a conference call with compliance in 40 minutes. After that, we secure your accounts, your address, your contact channels. Then we plan for the next step." Shanice stood. Her legs felt steady, which surprised her. Grant did not offer his arm. He offered something else. His phone. He held it out to her, screen open, not dialing yet. "Call who you need," he said. "Childcare, school, anyone. We will adjust around your life, not the other way around." Shanice took the phone for a moment, then handed it back. "I will call later," she said. "Right now, I want to finish what I started." Grant nodded, a small flash of respect in his eyes. As they walked out of the garden, sunlight hit the glass roofs and scattered across the path like a promise that did not need words. Shanice felt the weight of fear still there, but it had shifted. It was no longer holding her down. It was pushing her forward.